Hi, I'm going to start something new in these little midweek encouragements, and we're going to do theology in 333. Theology basically is a religious word that simply means the study of God. Theos is a Greek word for God, and ology is the study of. So we're going to study who God is. Now, we can't do it all in 1 week, but maybe we can look at certain attributes of God. And as we are in these difficult, changing, uncertain times, we like to say that God is with us, and God is in control, and God is for us, God is on his throne, but maybe it will help encourage our faith to know who God is. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to take different attributes of God that could help us understand who he is and encourage us in our faith. So first, I want to look at Jeremiah 31:3. It says, I have loved you, God tells us, with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with loving kindness. It's basically talking about God being loving. But there's a difference between someone or being loving and what God is. Because God is more than being loving to us. God, the Bible tells us, is love. He's the source of all love. And he describes what that looks like in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, where it says, love is patient, love is kind, it's not self-seeking, doesn't boast, it keeps no record of wrong. So it's far more significant for us to understand that the Bible doesn't just tell us God is loving, it tells us God is love. First John tells us, John describes what love is, and he describes it this way in verses 10 through 12. It says, this is love. If you're wondering, this is love. Not that we loved God, but that he loved us, and he sent his son as an atoning sacrifice for us. The fact that God loved us so much that he sent his own son, not just to be with us, but to be sacrificed, to be killed, brutally killed on our behalf, to pay a penalty we couldn't. That is the essence of him being love. And so he goes on in verse 11, it says, dear friends, since God so loved us, we ought to also love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God is in us, and his love is made complete through us. So here's the question. How do we understand who God is in the midst of these tough times? Sometimes it's easy to think or believe that maybe God's not here. If things are hard or something, God's not here. And we can be afraid and be alone and have worry and anxiety. But in 1 John 4:18, it says, such love, this kind of love that comes from God, that God is in essence, has no fear. Because perfect love expels all fear. It gets rid of it. If we are afraid, it is because of fear's punishment, and this shows that we do not fully experience his perfect love. So let me encourage you, let me challenge you in this week in the midst of wondering who God is and what God is like and everything like that. God is love, and he tells us because he's love that we should love. So how can you show somebody today who God is? By showing them God's love.